Hello guys, in this video we are going to talk about annual numerical limits that was applied for fiscal year 2026 under employment based category. Ideally, every year for employment based worldwide limit, the number is 140,000. It includes from all the EB categories from EB1 through EB5. Okay, and if I look at the category wise, let's say EB1, in an ideal scenario, it is the worldwide limit for EB1 is 40,040. Similarly, same thing for EB2. And from the EB3 and EW3 combination, it is the same number 40,040 as a worldwide limit. When it comes to a specific country like backlog countries like India, China, Mexico, and Philippines, the yearly limit capped at 7% is for EB1 is close to 2800, EB2 close to 2800, EB3 close to 2100, EW3 700. This is a reference, ideal state reference, in when the visa number is, the worldwide visa limit is 140,000 total, okay, for the employment based category. And recently I see this document in the travel.state.gov in which the fiscal year 2026 limits have been increased from 2800. As you can see, for EB1, let's say so if it is India or China or Mexico or Philippines, the EB1 limit is 3,724 in comparison to an ideal state scenario, which is 2,800. So we have close to 924 visa numbers increase in the current fiscal year, which is fiscal year 2026. Same for EB2, same for EB3 plus EW3. Okay. And the worldwide limit from 40,040, it increased to 53,196 on these categories, which means the worldwide is nothing but it includes rest of the world and India, China, Mexico, and Philippines. So how to get out of the calculation here for rest of the world is 3724 times 4 is the number total for individual foreign state, which is 4 of those backlog countries. And then subtract that number by 53,196, and the remaining is what the rest of the world. Okay, so that's how you see it. So overall, as I said, ideally it is 140,000 is the employment based worldwide limit, and you see the fiscal year 2026 has 186,000 visa numbers, which is 46,000 extra applied for the current fiscal year. And I assume that this 46,000 extra is coming from the previous year's spillover. Okay. This is definitely good news, and that's why you saw the date movements in all of those countries and the EB categories, EB1 through EB3 at least. But at the same time, we also saw a major retrogression in the last visa bulletin under EB2 India, EB1 India, right? Mainly. And the reason for that is, as you saw, the EB2 and EB1, particularly for the foreign state countries, has a limit of 3,724, The demand is much higher than this, and the forecast that was planned um, to receive these number of applicants, thinking that there, I mean, initially what happens is when the date movements happen, it is more for checking how many applicants are in the queue, and if the demand goes beyond the limit, then the retrogression happens so that they can limit the number of applicants to the available limit, you know, for that particular fiscal year. So that is why you saw a retrogression, because the demand became very high when the dates moved forward in EB1 India and EB2 India, and there was a big retrogression. In I think for EB1 India it was close to 4 months retrogression, and for EB2 India it was close to 9 or 10 month retrogression in the last visa bulletin. I'll show you an example here. If I look at the I-485 pending applications in EB categories, for example, in EB1 India, right? So we saw that the available visa numbers in the current fiscal year is 3,724, and the awaiting availability list, which is the backlog I-485 pending applicants, right? For EB1 India, if you look at the total, like to match up to 3,700 number, right? If I stop right here, let's say, right? So from February 2022 to June 2022, that would be the ideal date. That should have been the ideal date movement in EB1 India in the current fiscal year, based on the numerical limits that was shown in the document before, and the backlog of I-485 pending applicants in this case. Again, I'm just counting for awaiting availability, not the numbers that are coming from the previous priority years up to 2021, right? So this is also is a major contributor where it can account for more demand. Oftentimes that creates the retrogression for EB1 India, because you would see a lot of backlog count increase up to the year 2021 due to porting, right? Maybe from EB2 to EB1 or EB3 to EB1 in this case. So again, if I ignore that topic for now, if I just consider the awaiting availability list shown here, for this fiscal year, it should have moved only up to June 2022 for the EB1 India. But we did see the date movement gone up to April 2023, up until the visa bulletin of May, right? And maybe that's because it is mainly to identify how many applicants are going to come in the queue to see the demand and adjust accordingly. I think that's what it is. Those exercises were taken. So now that the demand became so high, the dates are retrogressed. And right now, I think we are, for EB1 India, we are at, if I'm not wrong, we're at maybe in December 2022 at this time. So we are still far away. If I look at the December time, like from February 2022 to December 2022, the numbers are up to 10,831, which is much beyond the available numerical limits that was reported out, right? So there is a higher chance for EB1 India in the coming visa bulletins in the current fiscal year will further retrogress in this case, in my opinion, or it might become unavailable for EB1 India up until September 30th, 2026, which is the end of the current fiscal year. From October 2026, you will have new visa limits and visa numbers available for the next fiscal year. But up until September 30th, 2026, I'm forecasting at least now to see further retrogressions in EB1 India or unavailable situation. Okay, that is EB1 India example. Let's go into EB2 India and EB3 India example. Okay, so EB2 India also saw close to 10 months of retrogression in the last visa bulletin release. And same story here. We know that the visa number applied for this current fiscal year for EB2 India is 3700, right? Again, if you remember, at the start of the current fiscal year, the final action date chart had a date for EB2 India as 1st of January 2013, and that's where it started. Okay, and if I apply the visa limit of 3700 and calculate how far this backlog can be covered with that newly available visa limit in the current fiscal year, is if I sum this up, right? So it goes up to again June 2013, right? From 1st of January 2013 to end of June 2013, right? But what we saw in the previous visa bulletins, that the date moved up to July 2014 for EB2 India. That was way beyond the limit that was shown in the report. So if I sum them up, right, just for our view, if I go up to July 2014, the total number I'm seeing here is 20,000, right? There was, based on what the numbers shown in the report as a numerical limit, it was not 20,000 for EB2 India, right? It was 3,724. That was the limit applied in that report. So that is why you saw the retrogression, because the demand went really high for EB2 India after the state movement happened, because of which you saw a huge retrogression in EB2 India here. So it moved to, I think, September, from July 2014 to September 2013 in the recent visa bulletin as a retrogression. But I do think, as there is already a communication that the EB2 India may become unavailable or it may retrogress further, right? So in my opinion, if it is going up to June 2013 as a priority date for the current fiscal year, that is the most optimistic situation. So as it is in September right now, there is a higher chance that either it becomes unavailable as well, or it could be retrogressed up to June, end of June or end of May, in my opinion, before the current fiscal year ends. And there will be a new visa number available again in October 2026, in which the date will be revisited. Okay. Now, let's go to EB3 India, where you saw the date moved forward 1 month, right? So in this case of EB3 India, it is the number of 3,724 is the number again, but we need to subtract the EW3 numbers. In this case, for EW3 India, there is not a lot of demand there, right? So most of the EW3 numbers may get used for EB3 skilled workers, in my opinion. So let's assume, safer side, that we have 3,700 as a round number available for EB3 overall. Okay, if I look at that way, and if at the start of the current fiscal year, the date was 22nd May 2013, right? That was the date in the visa bulletin before the start of the current fiscal year in the final action date table for EB3 India. So if I calculate that number backlog and sum them up until it comes to 3,700, okay? So you have 3,300 for the entire 2013 priority year. Then you have additional 580 in January of 2014. So you can see that in the recent visa bulletin, it was moved from 15th of November 2013 to 15th of December 2013. So it is a meaningful forward movement for EB3 India because you see there are numbers available to be used. The demand is not so high up until January 2014 when compared to the available numerical visa limit for EB3 India. Okay, so we saw 3,724 is the visa limit available for EB3 India, and the demand here can go up to January 2014 or at least mid of January 2014. Okay, which is maybe up to 22nd January 2014 priority date, or maybe 15th of January 2014 is the date forward movement I'm anticipating up to September 30th 2026. This is my prediction based on the available numerical limits for the current fiscal year that we saw versus demand that is there in EB3 India category. Okay, so I just wanted to share some examples both on retrogression situation and also forward movement situation and why it happened. Okay, hope this helps in understanding why there was a retrogression and why there was a forward movement as well. Okay, if you have any questions, please post it in the comment section. I will try to answer as best as I can. Thank you for your time.